But now, Political Animals, a series of 4 scurrilous talks given by well-known, if unreliable, Downing Street cats relating to their trials and tribulations under 4 different prime ministers. This week, the notoriously photo-shy Humphrey, a cat with a robust vocabulary and a pretty earthy view of political life, looks back on his struggles with all things New Labour.
Well, hello. Would any of you lovely young ladies like to be Mrs. Chief Mouser for the night? No, wait. I can introduce you to John and Norma Major. They're dear friends, you know.
Humphrey, Chief Mouser to the Cabinet Office, 1989 to 1997.
This is what happens when you're tainted with a discredited government. You kept the nation entertained with your saucy scandals. Just when we thought it couldn't get any better, along came another one, bigger and better than the one before. And the delightful way you defend your honour with your simple sword of truth and trusty shield of fair play. Some of you got your swords out once too often, of course, including dear John, our esteemed Prime Minister. Well, what I say is, come back, ancien régime. All is forgiven.
We have been elected as New Labour, and we will govern as New Labour.
And then the kissing had to stop. These days, Humphrey, or should that be New Humphrey, mouses for a man who has someone called Cool Britannia around for a glass of Perrier water and makes dreary speeches about
New Labour, New Britain.
The New Labour dogs are as dismal as their masters. This one, owner D. Blunkett, is a blind dog. Too good an opportunity to miss, I think. Oh, that didn't work out quite as planned. Before sneaking up behind a blind dog and sinking your claws into its fat arse, first establish if it is blind. Blind dog, I discover, doesn't mean the dog is blind. Getting too old for these vertical escapes. Curtains are the province of the younger cat. Oh, very undignified. And that's when I came face to face with my nemesis, Cherie. Hate at first sight. I fondly imagine that her disdain for me is based on something more substantial than me shredding a pair of expensive curtains. Surely no one could be that shallow. That's Cherie crying. Has she been reading about a cash-starved NHS under John or his botched railway privatisation? No. She and Tony have just realised that they shouldn't have sold their Islington house with property prices still rocketing. Cherie, darling, I'm being horrid to you only because deep down I'm crazy about you. Ours is a love that dare not speak its name. Oh dear. Has Cherie trodden in something I left out for her? She's been going barefoot rather a lot lately. She has this new age friend called Carol who thinks barefoot Cherie is more likely to be reunited with her chakras than shoe-clad Cherie. What she was united with was a present from New Humphrey. New Humphrey, not so new bladder. Sorry, old girl. Try not to let it happen again.
If I have to come here again, I will do it, and I will break you.
Shouty man is Alistair, Tony's press secretary. Wouldn't normally report the tedious outbursts of this very tedious man, but rather a lot of them concern that effing Tory cat Humphrey, or whatever he's called. Apparently some effing apology for effing humanity has leaked to the press that Cherie hates the effing Tory cat. And Alistair says we need to turn this round because a whole load of cat lovers have just voted for us in their effing droves. And that's how it came to pass that a photo shoot is arranged. Cherie is going to hold me lovingly while a photographer snaps away. Contrary to press reports, Alistair hasn't sedated me. Expect he's had to sedate Cherie, though. And here she is now, the Queen of the Night herself. Center yourself, Humph. You can do this. She announces she's put on her old clothes for the photo shoot. Ones she can throw away after she's picked me up. Charming. All will be well, old sausage. You really can do this. But seeing her striding across to me... I know I'm supposed to swallow the furball and just get on with it, but ask yourself, would you want to be picked up by Cherie Blair?
Got a great shot of him running up the curtains, Alistair, but I imagine that's not what you're after.
This is so not like me. I'm a firm believer in keeping the publicity machine on side, but just the thought of being clutched lovingly to Cherie's breast.
Courage, mon brave. Courage.
I surrender myself to my fate and allow her to pick me up. I'm in a very dark place, just a microsecond away from being clutched to that breast. Suddenly, she just drops me. She asks Alistair if she could pretend to hold it, then Photoshop it in later. It thinks that's a splendid idea, but Alistair tells her to bite the bullet. Cherie replies she's thought of a better use for the bullet she's biting on. Charming. At last, the photo shoot begins. She forces a smile and makes little choking noises and keeps murmuring, "Oh, God, oh, God." It's no picnic for me either, my dear. What are those interesting pheromones you're giving off? Animals dead, whatever it was. De mortuis nil nisi bonum.
It's a wrap, lady and gentlemen.
I've survived a life-threatening kidney infection. I've survived the press claiming that I savaged ducks in St. James's Park. I survived accusations of infanticide. Robin chicks, as it happens. And I survived 6 years with John Major. That's cat years, remember? But without doubt, the worst day of my life was my photo shoot with Cherie.
Mwah! Mwah! Cherie, darling, so lovely to work with you. You too, Alistair. We must do it again. I've a day free in the 25th century.
My day of hell was to no avail. The picture of Cherie with best pal Humph doesn't fool the great British public, despite photoshopping my expression to make it look as if I couldn't be more pleased to be clutched to her breast. Gordon stirred it by telling her we make a handsome couple. Next day, I encounter the ridiculous Alistair on the stairs. Well, look who it isn't. Humphrey the numpty, he hisses. Cherie's going to get you, you effing little Tory numpty. Humpty the numpty sat on a wall. Humpty the numpty had a great fall.
Kindly tell Lady Macbeth that for his part, Humpty doesn't bear a grudge. If she wants some of the best make-up sex she's ever had, tell her to meet me behind the dustbins in half an hour.
But my peace offer falls on deaf ears. Spurned by my darling Cherie, I go off to have rebound sex with a hot young totty who are drawn to the corridors of power like moths to a flame.
Well, hello. Any of you lovely ladies fancy being Mrs. Chief Mouser for the night? Name's Humphrey. New Humphrey.
This is just a character I play, you understand it. The real Humphrey is very different from Humphrey the Lothario. Humphrey the Lothario uses transient sexual gratification as a balm to help him forget the deep well of loneliness inside him. What he's really looking for is love.
No, don't go. I can introduce you to Tony and Cherie. They're dear friends, you know.
In the meantime, some nookie wouldn't go amiss. Even the most famous cat in the land can't get his leg over in Blair's ageist young Britain. In China, they'd name a year after me and revere me for my wisdom. And they might also eat me. But they'd eat David Blunkett's blind dog first.
She was the people's princess.
Speaking of dogs, the ridiculous Alistair has written a few of those in his time, not least his...
She was the people's princess.
Tony's delivery here is terrible. You need to hit people's, Tony, not was.
She was the people's princess.
One more time. Give it your best shot. Quiet, studio. We're going again.
She was the people's princess.
Tony's acting improves as he moves into his crazed messianic period. Mind you, he's lucky in having a dim and credulous audience.
The kaleidoscope has been shaken. The pieces are in flux. Soon they will settle again.
Called MPs.
Before they do, let us reorder this world around us.
He's working his oratorical socks off, no doubt hoping the aforesaid MPs won't notice the dire script. He needn't worry. They won't.
The kaleidoscope has been shaken. The pieces are in flux.
Oh, dear.
Soon they will settle again.
You had to be there, I suppose. Rather glad I wasn't.
Before they do, let us reorder this world
Yes,
around us.
thank you. You've got the part. Name above the title. Oh. Suddenly everything goes dark. I'm bundled into a cat basket and spirited away in a new Labour people carrier. Humphrey, you old fool, you overreached yourself and took on the Queen of the Night. And now you're going to pay. Unless I'm not Humphrey, and Humphrey's already been put down, and I, another cat, have been brainwashed to think I'm Humphrey, a sort of cat in an iron mask. Meanwhile, the ridiculous Alistair announces that I've retired. Oh, really? Have I? Has anyone asked me if I wanted to retire? Were pension plans discussed? I'm in my prime. Still a fine figure of a cat, even if I say so myself. I've got at least 5 years of mousing left in me. In the meantime... The Downing Street press pack going to battle on my behalf.
What have you done with poor little Humphrey?
Quite touching, really. I'm going to miss you, chaps.
And we're really sorry we made up stories about him killing, robbing chicks.
And we're sorry we made up that story about him beating up that duck in St. James Park.
No, we didn't make that up. He really did that.
The hacks believe that I've been forced out on the orders of Cherie. Some of them even think that I may have been terminated with extreme prejudice. Questions are asked in the house. Has Cherie had me put down?
Cherie, what have you done with poor little Humphrey?
As a lawyer, Cherie must know that under British law you don't have to find the body in order to be convicted of murder. A number 10 spokesperson is forced to make a clarifying statement.
Humphrey is experiencing continuing kidney problems and has been retired to a stable home environment where he can be looked after. Okay, we did shoot him, then put the gun in his paw to make it look like suicide. No, don't print that. That was a joke. We haven't shot the bastard cat. And don't print that either. Me calling him a bastard cat.
So, am I dead? Am I speaking to you from beyond the grave? If I am dead, how long before the obits start appearing? Will I be remembered in the same breath as Byron's bear, or Caligula's horse, or Dante Gabriel Rossetti's wombat? Eventually, Alistair and his team are forced to take members of the press to an undisclosed location in the suburbs, where they find me, living in retirement. The snappers sit me on the day's paper so they can demonstrate to their readers that it isn't an old picture and that the evil Cherie hasn't had me put down. I feel like a kidnap victim whose kidnappers need to prove I'm still alive.
So, Alistair, do cats with continuing kidney problems normally put on weight?
Alistair calls the hack an effing C word ending in ing, followed by the C word without the ing, and tells him he's banned from his next 2 effing C word with the ing press briefings. So, how have I managed to put on weight? Well, I'm not doing much mousing these days. Also, I'm no longer being harassed by Alistair and Cherie. You see, around this time the press make a freedom of information request to find out why I resigned. This elicits the following from a number 10 spokesperson.
Look, why can't he just accept he wanted to resign because of his continuing kidney problems? He felt he could no longer give mousing 100% and we thought we could train up a younger cat.
The years go by. Everyone assumes that I've passed away. Then someone discovers that the 17-year-old mouse, I do wish they wouldn't print your age, is alive and well and living in South London. New Humphrey really is old Humphrey now. Though I've retained my debonair looks, even if I say so myself. There's even talk of me coming out of retirement for one last job. On the other hand, there's more than enough to do here in the suburbs. Well, hello. Would any of you lovely suburban ladies like to be Mrs. Chief Mouser for the night? A game of whist, then. I'm not really 17, you know. That was a misprint. No, this isn't a corset I'm wearing under my fur. No, wait, don't go. I knew Tony and Cherie Blair. They were such dear friends.
Would someone be so very kind as to get my tablets? They're on the table next to my cat basket.
In this evening's Political Animals by Tony Bagley, Humphrey was impersonated by James Fleet. The director was Mark Beebe.